Alright, what's good, people? Today we're going to talk about the Kunwu compadre in vanax super clean. This is the reverse tux DLC version. It's a great looking knife, in my opinion. It looks a lot like the Rotten Evo 4.0, or any of the versions of it. Actually, I think they all look the same, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a smaller version of the Padre. I've never handled the Padre, but um, I was tempted to get it, and then when I saw where they came out with this, I kind of, just couldn't help but want this because it's a little bit smaller. The weight was a little bit more manageable, and yeah, it just, you know, kind of looked more pocketable in my opinion. So we've got Damascus pivot collars, uh, the blade hole, and the front flipper. A nice reversible clip, which actually rides in the pocket really well, even though it's on this super nice, grippy, diamond textured titanium pattern, milled pattern. They're flat scale, so they're not contoured. Got a nice backspacer with the jimping that you can actually feel in the palm of your hand. Not aggressive or anything, just gives you a little bit of added traction. It's just a really well built knife, and this thing has an amazing detent on it. The detent's very, very crispy on it. If you like a stouter detent, you'll really, really like this knife, in my opinion. It so one negative I will say about it is the lock bar access. For me, it's not the greatest. It's okay. It's just it's not laid back on the side right here, so you've got to come in from the front and kind of do the index finger knockdown and the thumb rollover on it. There's no real way. I mean, you can do it like this and then do it like that, but it's not very satisfying to do, in my opinion. And then I kind of wish the knife was a little smoother. It might break in and become a little smoother, but let's see if you can hear it. Let's do it one more time. Hopefully you can hear that. It's not the smoothest, and I have it the pivot set as loose as I can get it without any kind of play. If I go any looser, I get play. But you can just hear that detent's really nice. And the thumb hole and their front flipper work really good. The front flipper is really nice. It's, way above the pivot and it's canted back. So it's just very easy, and it's one reason why the front flipper works so good, even though the detent is very strong on the reverse flick and the thumb flick, because it's a stout detent. So you would, normally when you have that stout of a detent, the front flipper's, a lot harder to use. But in this case, because of the way it's set up, it's very intuitive and very easy, in my opinion. The ergos on it are great. I can get a full purchase even without using the choke up spot. And then we got nice jimping right here, exactly where your thumb kind of wants to land. I do feel the pocket clip just a tiny bit, like right back here on this corner. Nothing crazy, and a little bit right here. Again, nothing crazy, and once you choke up, you're not feeling the back part of it really, or I'm not. My hands aren't big enough, but I do still feel up here a little bit, and the choke up spot is really nice. I mean, this is, in my opinion, where this knife was designed to be held. And the blade shape is nice. It's just an aggressive kind of look to the knife. But then it's got a lot of belly, nice swedge on it. The tip's relatively, you don't have to cant it up too far to get to it, but you are going to have to, get up a little bit to use it. But the belly, man, the belly is where it's at. It's just really nice for, cutting rope, cutting, food prep, cutting tubing, that kind of stuff. It just works so good. And this thing came with a really nice edge. Super uniform on both sides. The plunge is done really well on it, so you've got plenty of life that you can sharpen off. Like, and you can just see how nice and thin it is right back here at the edge. Again, it's in vanax, super clean. And then the full DLC. And I think it's around 20 thousandths behind the edge when I measured it. It gets a little thinner back here, so around 18. For the most part, it's around 20 thousandths. It's really nice to cut with. Now I will say, when you're trying to break down like cardboard, because it has so much belly, it's a little harder to stay in the cut. But that's going to be with any knife that has a good bit of belly on it. Again, the action is nice, and I think it's going to break in a little bit better. And I have taken it apart and put KPL on it and everything, and it's still, kind of an aggressive shake shut is what I would call it. So doing it this way, just the size of the knife and the way you have to engage the lock bar makes it, doing it this way, just very satisfying in my opinion. So I'm not too worried about the smoothness of it. It might be a really good contender to put skiffs in, if I'm being honest. Yeah, so I can tell you, as soon as I picked up this knife and held it in the choked up spot, I was like, holy crap, I felt this knife before. And I couldn't place when or where I had felt this knife, but then I started going through my daughter's collection, and I pulled out the Kaiser Mini Roach, and as soon as I got it in my hand, I was kind of like, oh, this is what I was feeling. And if you look at these two side by side, you can kind of see why I would think that. Except for the hump right here and the fact that it has the back flipper instead of the front flipper, the ergonomic lines on these are very, very similar. This is a hollow, this is a flat, this has a back flipper, this has a front flipper, and then we have this little spot right here where your pinky kind of lands instead of it just being more open here. And then this knife, this is a really nice knife, man, and you could pick them up for really cheap. It actually has a better drop than the compadre, and the detent on my copy, or well, I should say my daughter's copy, is very stiff on this thing. It's great for the back flipper because it means you can't fail it even if you want to. I have trouble failing it even with my thumb. And if you know anything about back flippers and trying to fill them with your thumb, they're usually super easy, but look at how much pressure I got to put on this thing. And after I get a feel for it, I can fail it with my thumb. But it ain't easy, and that's with my thumb. There's no way I could do it. There we go. I could do it normally. And then the reverse flick, I borderline can't do it. She cannot reverse flick it. So it's a very stout. The compadre is not near as stout. I mean, you can hear that. That thing is stout. But anyways, it just, gosh, man, it's if you ever wanted to experience the compadre and can't really afford it because it's a $300 knife, I think I picked this up for her for like $40 or something like that, or maybe she bought it. I can't remember. But yeah, G10, liner lock, but it's a nice knife. It cuts really well. And then we got some other size comparisons. So I got a Pyrite Light. Let's see if I can get right over top of them. Kind of works, makes it easier to tell the size comparison, in my opinion. And you're right over top of it. Might help if we... So the Pyrite Light is a little longer, not by much. Same, again, kind of hand setup. So, the Pyrite Light is going to be very similar. I can get a full purchase on it, and then I've got ample room when I'm choked up. Again, here I can get a full purchase on it. Even got a little tiny bit left over, and, lots of room if I choke up on it. And if we go, let's go maybe Hogue Deca. Hogue Deca, again, I would consider like a small big knife, and it's damn near the exact same length. But you've obviously got more room on the compadre because of the forward finger tool, so you can fit a much bigger hand on this knife than you can, in my opinion, on the Deca. I mean, you can choke up on the Deca, but you're doing more of like a trigger pull, so not near as comfortable, in my opinion. And then maybe let's look at the Vosti Raccoon in the top liner lock. It's bigger, not by a tremendous amount, but it is definitely a little bit longer. So you can kind of get a size reference here. And then, so the DLC on here is super nice. It's not, it's like a machine satin underneath of it, and the belt lines are going vertically, so up and down this way. And it's not mirror or anything, but it is shiny. You know what I mean? So it doesn't. It's a nice looking coating, but it's not near as shiny as, say, the Kaiser Milita. The Milita and the Milita 2 has be hard to see here, but you can see it right there. The lines are going this way, so it's almost like a hand rubbed satin, then the DLC put over top of it. And maybe that's why it has the more mirror finish to it, you know. But the Kunwu is close, you know, but it's not as mirror. And then you got something like, man, I put skiffs in this thing. I thought it was smooth before. Holy goodness. After putting skiffs in it, it didn't improve a ton, but it improved enough to notice it. And then you got like the misdemeanor from Neves, and this is a belt satin, so more aggressive on the ground lines. But the DLC finish is actually very similar between these two. Anyway, just thought I'd show kind of some of the different DLC ones that I have compared with it. All in all, it's a super nice knife. It's very well built. It's got a great detent. It looks phenomenal. The pocket clip works really good. The only real nitpicks I have against it are lock bar access, because I like having the cutout and being able to come in from the side, much like, you know, the Milita here has, where you can come in from the side. You've got super easy access. I can let it drop to my nail and then close the rest of the way. With this knife, you can do that, but it definitely is going to take a toll on your thumb. You know, you can see where I've got the indent going just from trying to do it. So in my opinion, you're going to have to go about it that way, or, you know, it's more satisfying too. You know, so really that, and then, you know, the pocket clip rubbing me just a smidge. I mean, both of those are so kind of nitpicky that they're easy to overlook. You know what I mean? Other than that, it's just a phenomenal knife. Just you know, and the price obviously being $300 is a pretty big jump when you consider you can get the Milita for $200, and well, I think it's back to $220 now. But you know, and the texture on the titanium, man, it makes it nice and grippy, but not like, it's not so aggressive that it's bothersome or anything. But it reminds me a lot of like the Peel Ply G10, which is what's on the Hogue Deca. So it just gives you really good traction on it. And then, you know, having the DLC coating means you don't have to worry about it getting all scratched and marred up and looking bad when you're cutting with it. Because this thing, it just kind of begs to want to be used, in my opinion, with the way the grip is set up, the kind of pistol grip and the DLC coating. Even the heavy stonewash one they do looks like it would hide wear super well, you know. It's a really nice knife. If you've been looking at it and wanting to get one, I think they're back in stock right now, but who knows how long that'll last, you know. But yeah, I'm super happy with my purchase. If you decide to get one, or if you have one, let me know down in the comments. All right, y'all have a good one.